trying to get the puck. Here's Marie-Philippe Poulin. She shoots. Oh, she says she scored. They're saying no. Poulin said it went in the net. Team Canada would be best to get a whistle here. This game is over. This game is over. The buzzer. Canada has won gold. A golden goal from Marie-Philippe Poulin. Captain Canada has done it.
Hey, hello and welcome to episode 201 of the Press Box Hat Trick. Today I'm joined by a very special guest in Brie Shimansky, and we're going to talk about women's sports in Canada and how they've been so excellent over the past summer. We've got a lot to dissect, so let's get right to it. Thank you for being here today, Brie.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk about sports and women's success in this field.
Let's get it. Let's start. So I want to talk about the Canadian women's hockey team. They won the World Championship for the first time in, I think, 6 years against the United States of America. They were down 2-0 early, and Marie-Philippe Poulin scored the game-winning goal in overtime to clutch it up for the Canadians. So you actually told me an interesting stat beforehand.
Yeah, so basically the thing with Marie-Philippe Poulin is that this is her third time scoring a golden goal. And she's different from any other athlete because no one else has managed to do that, not in hockey, not in any other sport, not male, not female. It's really just her out there, and that's an amazing place to be.
Yeah, so basically she's the first hockey player ever to score 3 championship-winning goals.
Yeah.
So 2 of them were in overtime. One of them was to secure the game-winning goal. Nobody has ever done it more than 2 times, and that list includes guys like Mike Bossy, Bobby Orr, hockey superstars that are legendary status. Jean Béliveau,
Yeah.
exactly. All those guys get mentioned, and Marie-Philippe Poulin is not in that conversation, even though she's made history greater even than those guys in that regard. So,
and she's a woman.
She is a woman.
So
she is a woman.
That's great.
That's great. She should be getting in that conversation for sure. She's the only one in that conversation.
Yeah.
If we were to really dissect it the proper way, she has the most championship winning goals of all time, championship securing goals of all time.
Also another thing is that this just happened, so hopefully the conversation begins now. Like prior to this game, like she would have been up there with those guys who scored the game-winning goal twice, but now she's really in a league of her own, and I think it's important to recognize that and let her accomplishments set the pace of the conversation moving forward, and then now the hockey guys can try to live up to her. Look,
male or female, she's a legend regardless.
Absolutely.
She's a legend, and she's got to be mentioned when you're talking about the greats of the game of hockey. We can also talk about the Olympics and how the ladies carried the Canadian team all Olympics long. We won 24 medals. Try and guess how many were won by the women out of those 24. I don't know if you looked at the notes.
I know it wasn't all of them, but
I don't know if you looked at the notes or not, but try and guess.
I would say definitely over half because women are unstoppable.
Okay, well, the actual number is 18 out of 24.
Okay, not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And if it weren't for these women, we would be talking about a lackluster performance by the Canadians at the Olympics. Instead, we're talking about their greatest performance ever in the Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
So that's the contrast. 18 out of 24 medals, and the majority of the headlines are going to Andre DeGrasse and Damian Warner.
Yeah.
Look, rightfully so. Those are some pretty sexy events, the 100-meter, the 200-meter, and the decathlon. The decathlon, winning that makes you the best athlete in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's the hardest event to compete in. Damian Warner set the record, the all-time record. Nobody's going to break that for years to come.
He's like Marie-Philippe Poulin.
He is. He's the Marie-Philippe Poulin of the decathlon. And, we should be singing his praise because he's a Canadian.
Yeah.
He's
a man.
He's a Canadian. He's a gold medalist in an event that, we haven't had much success in. So good for him. Good for Andre DeGrasse. But these women, I mean, they were so amazing throughout the entirety of the Olympics. They actually won Canada's first 7 medals before a man had one. So that should tell you something.
Yeah,
what do you think? What do you think about that? About the women's performance in the Olympics for Canada?
I think that often when people will speak about sports and like the culture behind it, or watching the game, getting involved in it, it's a lot of guys having these interests. I find that growing up like as a girl, like it just wasn't something that my friends and I were interested in. But I think that seeing the success of the women in the Olympics, it's on a bigger stage, it's on the world stage, and it gives all these little girls something to look up to and to be inspired by. And it shows them that they can play sports just like the guys in their class, and they can succeed in those sports just like the guys in their class, and it doesn't matter that they're women, and that, actually like the women did a lot better. So it gives them that to look forward to for themselves.
Yeah, look, like I said, without them, we'd be talking about a mediocre performance by the Canadians, and it is a team effort. All the Canadian athletes, they played their part. There were a total of 381 athletes that competed at this summer's Olympics. 233 of them were women for Team Canada. So out of the 381 Canadians, 233 were women, which is more than half.
So it makes sense that they won more medals.
They did win more, but look, compared to 148 men, so it's not that much more. And you got to also keep in mind that there are team events.
Yeah.
So soccer, like they have 22 players, but they could only win 1 medal, but that still counts as 22 Olympians.
Yeah.
And the women's basketball team was in there as well. The men's soccer team failed to qualify for the Olympics. The men's basketball team failed to qualify as well. So we really got to praise these women for the amazing work that they did. They set a Canadian record for most medals at a Summer Olympics, and it would not have been possible without the performance that they gave. So like you said, this is, inspiring for the young girls that are watching sports in Canada.
I feel inspired. I play soccer, and to see them succeed, obviously I was a little jealous that I wasn't on the team. Just got to brush up on my soccer skills. And, maybe,
next Olympics.
Maybe in 4
you got 4 years.
Yeah,
you got 4 years
to train. But I loved seeing that, especially in a sport that I hold so near and dear to my own heart. Like, it's amazing, It makes me want to train for the next Olympics.
Well, I think we can. I think we could pump the brakes on that. I think you missed your window of opportunity. I'm sorry.
Getting old.
The thing that pisses me off is that guys still think that they could compete. Like the average Joe still thinks they could compete with a professional woman athlete, which pisses me off. Like I've heard guys say, "Oh, let's get a starting 5 in basketball and we'll beat any WNBA team." Buddy, you won't. You won't.
They don't think so, and that is truly disturbing.
Look, a lot of that could be male delusion. It is a lot of male delusion, but it just speaks to the fact of how underrated female athletes are. Yeah. And hopefully here in Canada, this performance that we've seen over the course of the summer will change that conversation. Yeah. And they start getting the respect that they rightfully deserve.
Yeah, I was thinking about, what we were going to speak about today, and it just reminded me of, the seminal feminist classic film, She's the Man, where Amanda Bynes goes and dresses up as a man and competes on the soccer team, and they think she's a guy, and they let her on the team. She made second string. Fine. But she worked her ass off, and she trained, and then she made it to first string, and she also dominated that game. So, skills are skills. The ball doesn't care who's kicking it. And, you can succeed in the game regardless of who you are or where you come from, as long as you're talented, and clearly these women are.
for you to be a professional athlete, for you to be an Olympian, it takes hard work. It doesn't matter who you are or what you identify as. It takes a lifelong amount of work for you to get to that like level. And that deserves some recognition. That deserves some credit for sure.
There's a reason why.
There's a reason why they're there, and we're not there. You know, there's a reason for that, and hard work can definitely be attributed to that. I want to talk about Christine Sinclair winning a gold medal. Um, she's getting up there in age. I don't know how many more Olympics she has left.
How old is she?
She's around 39.
Okay, so maybe I will be at the next
So maybe
Olympics.
you could replace her. Maybe you could replace her as the starting striker. But yeah, what a way to cap off your career, you know, winning a gold medal for your country. First one in the history of women's soccer as well. Fantastic. What do you think about that?
It's a lifetime achievement for sure. Like this one, you know, it goes down in Canada's books, but I'm sure for her personal development, like this is big. And it's amazing that she got to do that on such a big stage and that we were able to watch and support and, like you said, praise her for everything that she's done. So
look,
go girl.
It's fantastic. You know, Canada has always been in the mix when it comes to women's soccer, but they've never been able to get over the hump. US has always like dominated, and they got it done. They got it done, and they have a good team. They're well set up for the future as well. So Christine Sinclair doesn't have to worry. The team's in good hands if she does decide to hang the cleats up. Yeah.
One day.
Yeah,
but you know, at least now she has this one under her belt, and it really makes for a nice portfolio and for a nice chapter in her success story.
I think I would retire personally. If you waited your whole career to get that gold medal, and then you finally get it when, you know, she's not in her prime anymore. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah.
She's not that 30-year-old Christine Sinclair that was the best player in women's soccer. Not anymore. I think I would call it a career. That's the best way to go out, in my opinion.
I don't know. I think if I were in her cleats, I would definitely try again.
You'd give it another shot.
I'd give it another shot because, you know, she's coming off a hot streak, and why not? She did it once, she can do it again. Clearly very powerful and very talented, and I believe in her.
As do I. As a Canadian,
like,
I'm
well,
like, look, I look more at the sports aspect of things, and I know how great she was. She's not that same Christine Sinclair anymore. So part of me is saying, like, you know, go out on this high note, and the other part of me is saying, like, oh, you know, maybe she could do it again. But the game is so fast.
Yeah. I just feel like, okay, let's say she does go back. Let's say you don't win. Then she'll go out when she feels like she's ready to, and at least she tried, and it's not like they're going to remember her losses. They're going to remember her wins. They're going to remember this win especially. So it's amazing that she has that.
I'm still on the other side.
We'll see.
I still think you go out on this high note.
We'll do a little recap 4 years from now when Christine and I are on the same team.
Okay.
I'll bring her to the interview.
That sounds cool. So another topic of conversation is that a lot of these women, their one chance to showcase their skills and their talent to the world is on that national stage playing for their country. So whether it be soccer, whether it be hockey, basketball, a lot of us forget that these women actually return to their professional teams throughout the year, and they don't just wait 4 years to compete in a national event or an international
I feel like
event.
as a viewer, it might seem like they do just because there's not enough coverage or just general viewing of what they've been up to. I feel like for guys for hockey, for example, like we all watch this season, huge hockey fans over here, and we know exactly what they're up to. But these women, like I don't know what Juana's going to be doing until the next tournament. Where is she going to be?
Well, look, like these male athletes, they have the Olympics, but that's really secondary to them.
Yeah,
Because they make
yeah.
millions of dollars with their club teams, whether and any sport. Like I don't think guys are lining up to go represent their country just because their club teams are so much more lucrative for them. So these women representing their nation is actually a much more patriotic, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's a bigger deal for them.
They wait. This is what they play for. They play to represent their country on the big stage and bring that pride back home. But these men, I mean,
they're busy. They have other stuff going on. And,
we can't speak for them.
We're grateful that they took the time to play for Canada.
We can't speak for them because we don't make millions of dollars to play a sport.
Not yet.
We don't, so we don't know if, of course, representing your nation for minimal amount of money or no amount of money is going to be put on the back burner if you have millions of dollars on the line. Yeah. You don't want to injure yourself and a lot. So it's a lot more corporate when it comes to men representing their country. But the women, you could really see the passion when they put that Canadian flag on them or when they put that maple leaf on their chest. They're there to represent their country and make us proud. And they did that this summer.
They do it for the love of the game, truly. Like they just want to go out. They want to play some soccer. They want to play some hockey. They want to play whatever other sport that they play. And they want to win. Yeah. And, this year the women did.
Mm-hmm. And if you're skeptical about watching women's sports, this hockey tournament was unbelievable.
It was so good.
It was up and down hockey. It was exciting, physical hockey.
Yeah.
Even though they're not allowed to hit, it's still physical, and it was great. Like this Canada-USA matchup has been a marquee one for years.
Yeah.
For decades, and this last game was an instant classic, and I saw the highlights probably 5 to 10 times.
Yeah. It's a good highlight reel.
It is.
Strong,
especially
strong
that goal.
Content.
That goal by Marie-Philippe Poulin was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Top cheese, looked great. It's great hockey. It's great sports.
Yeah, and I find that if you are a fan of hockey, I don't understand why you wouldn't watch a women's game. Mm-hmm. They're still playing hockey. Really the only difference is that it's a woman playing, which kind of, it's a bad look if you don't want to watch that, especially when the women, they're in their hockey uniform, they're all covered up, it could be a man, and with the game that they play, it's so strong,
look, if you're a sports fanatic, there's no reason for you to not watch as many sports as you want.
If you're doing it for the game, for the love of hockey, then turn on the TV because there's a great game on.
You're missing out if you don't. That's all we're going to say. I think that's all the time we have for today. We don't want to go too crazy. We don't want to, I don't know. I'm going to cut that out. Okay. I'm going to cut that out.
Okay.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's all the time we have for today. We pretty much covered everything that we needed to cover. And just a friendly reminder, you're missing out if you don't tune into women's sports because it truly does provide some memorable moments. Anything to add, Brie?
Just keep on supporting women. Keep on supporting women in sports because in such a male-dominated industry, it is challenging to persevere and to, make the waves that these women did. And I think it's really important that they're recognized, and I applaud them for everything that they've done.
Yeah, great words. This was awesome. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, Brie, for being here, and go Canada.
Go Canada.